All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Sage, and I wanted to make a very quick video to answer a lot of the questions that have been asked over the testing and the videos that I've placed out so far. And that's Sage, where can I get the weak auras that you're playing with? Where can I get the add-ons that you're using to that help you out in Feral? And then how do they help you out in Feral? Like what portion of these are beneficial towards you? So I want to make a very quick video going over that. So what I'm going to do here is I did go on Wago and I did create my own little profile there, and I uploaded the WeakAura package that I'm currently using, which is just for Feral stuff. I took out all of the other form stuff, so this is purely just Feral, and it's going to just be mainly for what you're spec'd into. Inside the class tree will be able to be tracked through this WeakAura package and be able to get you through most of the content currently. It is not perfect. I don't claim to be the best at weak auras at all, and this kind of goes into a disclaimer here, as you know, there are going to be some Luna errors with it, uh, and just be mindful of that. There's a few of them that still have some wonky functionality that I didn't code. They all work. However, if your computer has issues with some Lua errors, just make sure that you're mindful of that once you do download this WeakAura package. This WeakAura package, we'll link it in the description below, or you can search for it on wago.io and search Sageshifter, and it's just a Feral WeakAura package. The other thing I want to say up is that this is an iteration to a WeakAura package that I obtained from another Warcraft creator named Luxtos. He is a awesome WeakAura expert, I would say, 100%. And you should definitely go to his website at luxos.com and check out his current builds. He is currently in the process of building all of the WeakAura packages for all of the classes and all of the specs. He's working on Rogue as we speak, and then he will be doing Druid afterwards, which makes sense because Druid is pretty complex when it comes to weak auras, not just because Feral is decently complex, but because since you have so many shape-shifting forms, you have so many different iterations of resource generation, so on and so forth. So he will be coming out with a fully loaded WeakAura package for Dragonflight, and I would highly recommend looking at his fully finished one once that is created. However, I know that a lot of people currently are kind of in a little bit of a limbo, especially as Feral is gaining some popularity because it's in a very good spot right now as far as like damage, competitive damage, and so on. So as the rising tide comes with Feral, I'm going to place this out there so that if you want to dabble in Feral, or you want to just have something that will last you for right now, this will be available to you guys in the description below. Now, and real quick, I'm going to go over it. So we're going to jump in here and go into weak auras. Like I said, this is all Luxos packages, but this one right here is just edited, as well as I took out all of the additional functionality from all of the other specs, except for one thing, and I'll go over that here shortly. So I'm going to disable these ones because these aren't part of what I'm going to be sending you. It's just going to be this one right here, the Feral Auras Attempting. And what this all has included in it is everything you see on the screen. One thing I'm going to disable real quickly is this right here, Lion Strength. It shows up as a question mark when you go into weak auras. However, once you talent into Lion Strength, it's just going to put the icon of Lion Strength inside the spot. And the reason why is because if you don't talent into Lion Strength, it's going to show you Blood Talons. And it'll show the Blood Talon procs and so on. And when you stop specking into Blood Talons and you go into Lion Strength, it was odd just to have an empty square right there, so I put an icon of that, and I'll show that to you guys here in just a moment. And then the other thing is this bar right here going across. This is actually for the one thing I was talking about, which is the Star Surge affinity, which is pretty much when you go into Boomkin form, this will just show you the cooldown of Star Surge. Star Surge is instant cast, so once you press it, this will just show the bar until it's ready to go again. So we can close that for now too. And then just kind of going over it, this up here is that big Sabertooth proc that I've shown off in some of my other videos that I've made. This will last for 4 seconds every single time you press Ferocious Bite, which is very essential to our damage profile to make sure that you're tracking this and that you're not overriding it continuously, especially when you want to utilize those procs from Apex to keep it going, because the 25 increased damage across all your rips is extremely strong, and the uptime of your Sabertooth is highly dependent on you making sure that you're not wasting this. So this is huge, and I would recommend you know, it doesn't have to be this big. It doesn't have to be in this location. So if you don't like it, you can come up here to Sabertooth, click it, and you can move it around. All right. However, this is where I have it, and this is where, you know, I enjoy placing it. Let's go ahead and turn that back off real quick, and we'll turn this one back off as well. Now, going down, we have Adaptive Swarm. I currently have Adaptive Swarm Talented, as well as I have Moonfire Talented, just so I can show you guys what's on here. If you don't have Adaptive Swarm and you don't have Moonfire Talented, these will not appear, as well as Sunfire. Sunfire, these ones will appear, and they'll be grayed out if you're not pressing them. However, Sunfire will not, because Sunfire is a owl weaving ability, and I don't like to have it just continuously there because of the rarity that you ever press this, especially currently. It's kind of rare that you ever press a Sunfire, and maybe as we get more used to it, more flexible, I guess you could say, with how much stuff you have to track, that you might be pressing it a little bit more often or pairing it up with Tiger's Fury, and so on and so forth. But when you press Sunfire on targets, it'll show it across the targets, but then it'll show the cooldown right here, like the duration of it. But if you don't have it, it won't show like a grayed out version like these ones right here do. Then we have just kind of the basic utility. Our clear casting right here does stack up to 2 if you have Moment of Clarity. Your Predatory Swiftness procs, your Feral Frenzy if you talent into it, Blood Talons if you talent into it, Apex right there in the center. So this is all of your procs is going to highlight this so that you can be super aware of when it's happening, as well as you can obviously, as soon as you press that button, this right here is going to pop up. So if you see this light up, you hit it, this is going to light up. You have Brutal Slash over here, which is pretty much our main go-to right now. As far as tuning is, Brutal Slash is very, very strong, and taking over Swipe, and it shows the 3 charges that we have with it so that you can kind of pair it up. I put Sudden Ambush right above our Rake, because obviously that's what it's amplifying. However, this is only going to show up if you talent into Sudden Ambush, not if you take the Conduit version of Sudden Ambush. So keep that in mind as well. And then we have our defenses over here with Survival Instincts. If you end up taking Survival Instincts, this will show up. If you don't have it talented, it won't show up. And then same goes for our Slight utility down here. So that's ultimately, you know, the Weak Aura package I wanted to show off. The other thing with this Weak Aura package that's not completely you know, 100% accurate, but it is there, is that these all of your dots will track their effectiveness, meaning, you know, how Feral has snapshotted abilities where Tiger's Fury is going to increase the damage of certain abilities, as well as Sudden Ambush or Stealth will increase the damage of your Rake, so on and so forth. That stuff is going to be tracked here, but not in a completely accurate way. So Tiger's Fury, it's going to show a 15% increase over it. So if without pressing Tiger's Fury right now, if I go in there and I, you know, just press some abilities and get things rolling on everything right now, it's all at 100%. But if I press Tiger's Fury, all of that goes up to 115, because that shows that the Tiger's Fury is going to be snapshotted across these if I press it. But since now I have Tiger's Fury up and I press it, now all of them are at 100% effectiveness, and meaning that I'm not going to, you know, lose out if I end up refreshing it currently. However, when this drops, as soon as it drops, it's going to drop down to 87 right here, because that means if I were to reapply it, it's going to put a lesser bleed, lesser dot on the target than was already on there, because those were amped up by Tiger's Fury. So it's not 100% perfect. That's coding beyond my pay grade. I do not know how to do the amplification there. However, it is inside this base Weak Aura kit, because like I said, this is me just messing around with stuff that with Luxos package to just make it work. And while we're in a purgatory waiting for him to finish up his super sweet Weak Aura packages for classes. So this will get you through. Just be mindful of that, as well as Blood Talons isn't tracked inside that. So like once you have your rips across everything and you have Blood Talons, it's not going to track your Blood Talons. So keep that in mind. Blood Talons is very popular right now because you can keep Blood Talons up quite a bit. However, you're overriding Blood Talons all of the time. So make sure that you're being super mindful about it, especially if you're starting to run out of energy or anything like that, which you really shouldn't right now. We have a ton of stats in pre-patch, but just be mindful of that if you are using Blood Talons, is that that's not like Sabertooth. It doesn't last over all of your rips. So if you have a Primal Wrath that you place out with Blood Talons, but then you don't have a Blood Talons for the next Primal Wrath, you will just eliminate that 25% increase damage from the Bloodhounds we have right now. So keep that in mind. And then if like I said with the Sunfire is not tracked in gray, but if you press it, it'll show it across all the targets, or that's a different add-on, but it'll show the cooldown right here if you tab target over, click on all these targets. And that's a good segue into the next one. So all of these up here, I've had a lot of people ask not only for the weak auras that I'm using, but what is the add-on that you're using to track all of your bleeds across your targets? And that's going to be Platter. So if we put /Platter, you get this. Now Platter by base, just getting it off of CurseForge or wherever you're getting your add-ons from, and downloading it baseline is super good. It needs hardly any iterations whatsoever. However, the iterations that you do that you might want, I'm going to go over real quickly, which are very few. And the first one is on this first general setting tab down here on view distance. It's set at 100. This has come into play on several dungeons in the past. Wakecrest Manor was a big one. Toldagor was a big one. And pretty much, if you have this at 100, it would show the nameplates of everything that's above you and below you, even if it's not on the same floor as you. So you might want to look at reducing this to about 50, cutting it in half. If you look at my videos of things that I've posted previously, you'll see like when I go into Ruby Life Pools, it pretty much shows that entire first little hallway before the first boss. It'll show all of the nameplates across everything, even if I'm not fighting it or it's not next to me. And that's because of this 100-yard range. So you might want to reduce that. You might like to see them. But that's something, like I said, I've had issues with in the past where like there's a target frame that I don't have a bleed on. You click it and it ends up being a witch that's underneath the floor in Wakecrest Manor, so keep that in mind. The other thing, the only other thing I would change here is if you go to buff tracking, keep it on automatic because automatic is going to show all of the things that you can place in. However, if you come down here, you can put in a few things that you don't want it to track because you don't clutter up here, especially when you have several targets. Like currently we only have 3 dummies that are spread pretty evenly apart, right? But that's not the scenario inside dungeons. And in dungeons, the main thing you want to know is my rake on these targets, right? On multiple targets all at the same time. The rest of your bleeds are pretty much AoE bleeds, so you're not worried about that all that much, but you want to know what bleeds are on or where, what dots are where. And there's a couple things that clutter up our screen that are tracked here, and they're listed right here. These are the 3 that I put in here just to kind of declutter it. Infected wounds. It's the slow that we place on with our increased rake that we have inside the center of the tree now. It is very good because we do have some assisting, some utility there, but most of the time you're placing rake on the targets not to slow them, but to get that damage out there because rake is doing a lot of damage for us right now. Infected wounds not as important, I would say, in PvE, because if you're trying to slow an entire group, you're doing it through different means, right? You're putting your Soul's Vortex down, you're typhooning them, you're going to have somebody else do it, inside your party. The main thing is the slow, the AoE slow is not coming from you. So in PvP, obviously, you would want to track this. You want to make sure that you have the slow up so you could see, how fast somebody's moving, but I would say in PvE, not really needed to track and it just clutters up the space. Then Naya's tools, the burrs, if you end up going on that side or down that row, this is just random. There's no reason to track this because it's completely out of your control, so I put that in there because it does just put an extra, tracker above enemy targets. And then tear. Tear is one of the main things that we got where you're putting this additional rip across all of the targets every single time you primal wrath, which is phenomenal, but it's one of those things that's going to happen no matter what you do, and you don't need to track it because you're not sitting there waiting for your tear to end before you place another primal wrath out because it's not doing enough damage to warrant that, as well as the next one's just going to put the same damage tick up as well. So I would say that that's just clutter at this point, and you don't need to track it. That way you can decrease the amount of clutter you have across all the nameplates. So if we come in here and we try to put all of the dots that we can, throwing everything that we got at them, we'll put those out there. We'll throw that, put a little Sunfire, throw Moonfires out. See, now you can kind of track them just a tad more. And there's already so much clutter across everything that that's why you don't need all of that additional clutter. And even this the bleed from your Berserk, from your Frenzy, that's actually something you don't need to put on either. You can definitely take that one off. And I hope that this helps you guys out as far as like just general weak aura package and being able to track your bleeds and abilities across everything. You can see all the different damage capabilities above them, and just be mindful that those aren't perfect. It's a good guide, a good base, but they're not perfect. I do have errors inside the coding of this as well, and you'll see that like if you actually go onto wago.io and grab this from there, you'll see that even Wago, like its code analysis of it shows that there are issues with it, but it works. So just make sure you guys are keeping track of that. The only other add-on that I'm really using right now anyway, I have details, which is just the base details. I don't change anything about it. If you want more windows, you just go over here, go to create windows, and then you right click on top of it to change it what you want, and then you're going to overall or current. I typically have current damage overall because it's going to show your DPS as well as your overall damage. And then I have overall damage for the entire, or this is current damage done, my bad. Current damage done, and then this is overall damage done. And then I have overall healing done, and this one a lot of times is current healing done, or it's deaths, or energy regeneration if I'm looking at it, or enemy, enemy attacks, or what we're getting hit by, stuff like that, enemy damage taken, so on and so forth. Boss damage, that's something you can check out as well. So details, weak auras, platter. Make sure you get the bug grabber and bug sack. When you do this, you want to make sure you put slash bug sack and you mute it because it's annoying. It'll ping every single time something goes wrong, and right now there's a lot of stuff that goes wrong, right? So make sure you mute this because if you don't, it's super annoying. So mute the bug sack so that you don't get this little like noise going off all the time. Every time like you load in or anytime one of those errors across all of your stuff ends up popping up with something. Past that, big wigs, little wigs, details, basic kind of stuff past that, Raider IO, weak auras. LVUI is something I'm going to go back to eventually, probably, because like Blizzard UI is fine. It's actually it's a lot better than what it used to be. However, there's some things that they haven't given you the ability to change. Mainly like your bag section down here. Like this whole thing should be able to be moved or hidden if you don't want to place it down here. That way I can put all of this down here without it being kind of offset or wonky, whatever. But for the most part, it is actually very good. That's what I'm currently have on here, and I will have a link for this profile in the description below if the link works. I don't actually know how any of that exporting the profile for this, if I just give you guys a string. I'm not sure if it'll work for you guys or not, but I will put in the description below just so you guys can have it, so you guys can see it. However, eventually I will go back to LVUI. I would recommend for everybody, even if you love LVUI, to set up the base profile for World of Warcraft, because every single expansion LVUI has some kinds of issues, right? And it's because it's such a massive add-on, because there's multiple add-ons within the add-on. It's a mass multi add-on, that there's always something that breaks, and then that one thing that breaks ends up screwing stuff up. And especially with new content, new quests, new vehicles, and all that kind of stuff, new extra action buttons, stuff like that. A lot of times LVUI will have issues with that initially, and that will cause you to have issues inside your game. So I would say at the start, just to lower the hindrance on your computer as well as the issues you might have in quests and stuff like that, to run with the base Blizzard UI, especially on release when it launches, and then swap back over to your LVUI profile once LVUI irons out all the issues that it has, and go from there. And then I don't think there's anything else of note that I wanted to say. That's platter, and what I would change with platter, that's the weak auras. Like I said, I'll have the weak aura package inside the description below, and I hope you guys, I hope this answers a lot of questions. I hope it helps you guys out. Big shout out to Luxtos, and make sure that you guys check in with him in a little while for the full Druid weak aura package, because I guarantee it will be far better than the little temporary one I've created to make ends meet for now. And go check out his content, especially since he's doing all of this work for free. That's huge. So go check out his content, and if you have any other classes that you play, pretty much has all of them done, and they're very, very good. So, as well as join his Discord. His Discord is very good because they answer a lot of questions. If you're having issues or a way to fix a weak aura, so on and so forth, they have very good support there that will help you out. And past that, hopefully, after this video comes out today, we get some beta Mythic Plus testing, and I will be streaming that at night. And you can check me out over on twitch.tv/Sageshifter and give me your ideas. I love to talk about Feral and what's going on, what your ideas are, what you guys would like to see tested, or any questions you have about Feral. I am open to answer them. And then I hope that I hope we stay pretty relatively where we're at as far as power level and builds, and we don't see too much change inside our personal tuning. And past that, thank you guys again, and I'll see you in the next video.